Hello, everybody. My name is Marcell, and this is the second season of the Rant-A-Way podcast, where we don't talk about our favorite things, we rant away about them. Today, I've got my co-host with me for the new year, Money Green. Money Green, Happy New Year, Happy Birthday, and Happy Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2025. Welcome to season 2. Hope everybody had a good holiday season. Hope everybody had a good New Year's, and hope everybody has a wonderful year this year.
Same. Yeah, what he said, I concur. All the festivities. Hey, actually, now that I think about it, Bork. Now that I think about it, we didn't film in November, right?
Nah, the one we did was October.
Oh yeah, you're right, because we saw the Joker movie. Yeah, because I was like, wait,
Yeah, we
did we stream on his, like, in his birthday month? I totally blanked out on that. But yeah, you're right, we did do October as our last one. But yes, to answer your question, my holidays were good. I was able to spend it with family, like any other person, thankfully, luckily. Same thing with New Year's. They kind of messed up my pay for a random day that I was summoned for emergency-wise, so I'm still keeping my eye on that. But other than that, I am 6 feet over and I am on top of the world.
6 feet over. Oh, I got you.
Yeah. But if you lay in your bed, are you technically stop? Don't be that guy.
That's what's up. Not a holiday. That's good. Yeah, man. Yeah, I found out because I was trying to hustle the system. I found out about time and a half. Like I finally cracked the whole thing on that. I used to think that they paid you like what you make plus like half of that on top to get time and a half. But the way I was explained to me is something about hours or something like that.
Yeah, no. Once you
Like
hit past your regular limit, the next shift you work becomes that overtime or time and a half.
Yeah, so overtime is different from time and a half. But
Mm-hmm.
I always thought they was the same thing.
Yeah, no.
I mean, to keep it a bug with you, like I always thought it was a scam anyway, because it's like, yeah, once you get time and a half or whatever, or what you like, the more you make, the more they take. So when everybody's trying to hustle for like, overtime or this or that or whatever the
Yeah, a
case
lot of
may
it does
be,
come out in taxes. Yeah.
yeah, it just puts you in a high tax bracket, and they just take more money from you anyway. So that's why I always saw all my young people, hey, if you're doing it for you, go ahead, but don't be looking at it thinking like, yeah, I'm about to walk home with like 15, 12, 17, 2K, whatever. Like, nah, cuz they about to walk home with a fat
The amount
pocket.
of taxes they're gonna take, they'll be able to buy a PlayStation 5.
Yeah. Cause I'll tell you a story real quick. Right when I did my first get up with security, and when they break you in hard. Pause. And they get you started. They have you doing crazy hours. So I think my first week I did like 70 hours or something like that. It was crazy. Like I was coming home, like taking a nap, turning around, running right back outside, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did like 70, and I was looking at it because it was like, oh, you got the thing where you can see your check, your income, like your projected what you're gonna bring home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at, it, I was like, yeah, that's looking nice. I think it was probably um like 12, 1300. And I was like, damn, 12, 1300 for a week. I was like, yeah, that's kind of worth it because I'm exhausted, like I'm beat. So I was like, all right, but that's gonna be worth it, to take that home or whatever. I got that check. That check was like $700. I was like, yo, they yacked me for like 5, 6 out of taxes. I was like, yo, I will never again go for that.
Did they give you
Never.
a free coupon for Six Flags?
Man, hell no. I was
Man.
dead though. I was dead, and I was like, yeah, cause they took all of that. So I was like, all that's gonna do is put you in the higher tax bracket, and they take more of that out of you. And yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm not going for that no more. You might as well just get your money straight. But that's just me. That's how I feel about it. If you hustling for something, I understand it. But yeah, for me personally, when everybody's like, yo, you want overtime? Nope, nope, nope. Funny enough, man, anybody's offering overtime right now, holla at your boy.
Well, with that being said, what do you have for us today?
So so we back into it now, season two and all of that. But we're gonna keep it light this week. Let me start the clock. We're gonna keep it light on this first episode. Just keep it your conversation and whatnot. I actually wanted to talk about you, ask you a couple questions.
I am all
So
ears.
as people know who've been following us for a while, it's not their first show. You see it on YouTube.
Hi,
You
Mel.
are a streamer. You are a streamer. Yeah, shout out to Mel. Mel's been with us since episode one,
She didn't
and
go. No, episode 0.
episode zero. My mistake.
Episode
Yep.
0. Yeah. But
And
this one will be called episode 1.
she
Sorry.
no problem. Excuse me. But yeah, it's episode zero. She's a real one. She every time she can make it, she's there. Whole show and everything. Wants us to do more shows and all of that. But I digress. Um, but yeah, so everybody who's been following along or watches on the thing knows that you put all your handles there. You are a streamer, a Twitch streamer. um, so yeah, I wanted to let you get your time to talk about that. So I wanted to ask you, for anybody who might be going into the new year challenging themselves with, like, what's it called, resolutions or whatever, to like put
Mhm.
themselves out there, get themselves out there, whatever. Um, what would be some positive and negatives that you would like to share when it comes to somebody who would be an aspiring streamer or content creator?
So I would say that the negative would be maybe the time commitment. Because again, if you're already committed to a lot of other things outside of the hours that you can give for streaming, then this might be a bit tough if you want to like take it more seriously. Because you only have 24 hours in a day. 8 of it goes to working, 8 of it goes to sleeping, and then you're left with the other 8 to figure out what to do. So that's, at least in my experience, one of the big negatives. I'm doing a lot right now, and sometimes it feels like if I had to cut something, it would be the streaming thing. But it is a fun hobby that I like doing, so sometimes I give it a modicum of thought to be like, okay, do I really want to do this? If I do this, what is that going to mean? For the people who came, for the people who have been around for that long, you start weighing all these pros and cons, and it can be a little bit staggering and um, paralyzes you a bit sometimes. The positives, though, um, you get to play many types of games, right? If it's within your budget, if you got the personality for it, shine it, show it to the world. We all like talking about things that we're passionate about, and I think streaming can be a good gateway to that if you're not too, and I say this in a very nice way, if you're not too autistic about it, right? If you're not off-putting when describing your passion, then you'll naturally gravitate a lot of people towards you. This really isn't a negative nor a positive, so it's kind of in the middle, but you got to also come to grips with that, like, there might be something that you like, but there's going to be someone out there that likes it infinitely more than you. Oh gosh, I think I just said that from She-Hulk. But the point is, don't be taken aback by that, because there's always going to be a bigger fish out there. And I know that sometimes on the internet, a lot of people can get into these ruler stick matches about, the things that they know and the things that they don't know, and then their egos get involved. And I think that just gets in the way of the product that you're trying to put out there, which is, the stream that you want to do. So that's one negative. Time. Positive, lots of different people, chance to make very fun communities, very welcoming, fostering communities. I say this all the time on my stream, that the way I try to build my community, it reminds me of my 4 other siblings when we all used to play video games. And our dad would hear us laughing in like the other room, and he would come by the door frame, and he would just watch us play or see what's going on, and then be like, when you guys get older, like you'll understand. And as I am, older, in my late 20s, surprisingly, his words ring true. So that's the same type of feeling that I want to put out there when I am on stream, and I think I do it
Oh,
for the
what?
most
So
part.
what? Not to mess you up, but
No, that was pretty
what do
much
you
it.
mean by it? What do you mean by that? Like, you
Like,
don't understand. What was he talking about? Or
that
what do you
feeling
understand?
of unity, community, and I mean, obviously there are some people who are single kids, but at least for me, I can always rely on my siblings, whether it's to talk to them about something financial, hanging out, having fun. I remember one time my big brother and sister and myself, before she had left for work, and basically like we were all gonna go like our separate ways in terms of like, career paths. And I think I was still living at my parents' place, but that was going to be my last year that I was there. So we were all doing like our last get together before we were separated by distance. And we had like went to this restaurant, forget the name of it, but it was like a rodeo-esque place. And the waitress was just like, "Are you guys like friends?" And we're like, "No, we're siblings." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, like your your chemistry is just like literally out of this world." And in my head, I'm like, yeah, because we're siblings, like that's what you do. But it's just so surreal to be like, yeah, like I do have four other people that are kind of cut from the same cloth that I can lean on in ways that can help my mental and just everything that I could be going through. Where it's like, man, if I talk to anyone, there's a high chance that these four people would get it, versus me having to say that to a complete stranger or someone that I befriended and then have to build up that sense of rapport. So for me, I'm like, man, like I really do see what my dad was saying. Like the older we get, plus like because there's five of us, when we eventually have kids, we're gonna be in the position that our parents were with like their siblings. So it is that generational circle actually showing itself, being like, man, like I can be a part of this, I can influence it greatly. So if I burn bridges or have a bad relationship with one of my siblings, which thankfully I don't, then like that is going to bleed into the next generation, and that's how the generational trauma continues. So I definitely don't want that to happen, because it's not a pretty thing, and it can hold you back from so many things, from family to career paths to meeting people. And I don't want that to be my legacy that I leave in the world. So that's what I mean when I say what my dad had said. Yeah.
So when you say that, translating that into towards like your community, I think you was saying
Hmm.
you're like your dad, where you see your community kind of like interacting with one another and kind of forming friendships and bonds with each other based off of how you at first put it together.
Yeah, so like one of my best like examples for this is like sometimes when I'm finally done working, like my regular job, Tuesday through Saturday, I'll come home on Saturday, I'll dress down, get some food ready, start doing laundry, and I'll open up Twitch and I'll see like, five, six people are on that like watch me and I watch them, and I'll have them all up at the same time, the volumes at, the respectable levels, and then, you just work on whatever game you're working on in the background, but you can still hear them laughing and talking and making jokes and talking to their chat. And I'm just kind of like, man, like it really takes me back to that time in my room on like Park Street when I was with my siblings. So I try to take that feeling and translate it into the things that I like doing. And thankfully I've got a PC that can handle it. I've got people that aren't, I guess, problematic or like crazy. They come and do their 2 hours or however long they're going to be on, and then they leave. And I think I found enough people that are kind of similar to me, but just different enough to still be like their own person, and that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
So you kind of like say, you've helped influence them kind of, and you get to see them grow and go kind of their own way with it and thrive on their own.
I wouldn't say I influenced them, because I don't know what I would or would not be responsible for. Now, unless someone directly said like, "Hey, you inspired me to do this thing," then sure, I'll take the credit for it. But the people that I've been watching and have seen start to where they are now, I don't think is in part to me. But if there's a happy streamer out there that isn't disgruntled by like the views or the raids, and I need the attention, I need the notoriety, then like, I will always take credit for that, because it is about fun at the end of the day. And it is disheartening sometimes to be like, man, I'm putting my best out there, and no one's watching or no one's engaging with me. Like it does suck at times, but that doesn't stop you from focusing on the craft that you know how to do. And if you feel like you've hit a wall, then just figure out how to overcome that wall by surrounding yourself with people that are ticks above you. That's why I always think it's important to have a mentor, whether it's at work, in your personal life. Just surround yourself by people who have been around longer than you. And every now and then they might drop a nugget of wisdom that if you acclimate into your own way of thinking, you'll be like, man, that was the perspective I needed to figure out the problem that I've been facing now. And I guess not to get like super religious, but like as a person with like the Christianity background, it's like if there's a challenge put in your life, then it's only put in there because, God willed it to be. So you have something in your toolkit to figure out the issue. You just don't know what it is yet, but it is there. So those are the type of like anchors I put in my head when I'm dealing with a situation to be like, okay, um, tried my thing at this, it didn't work. Why, right? There's so many ways to handle it, and I think handling it as positively as possible is going to keep you on the up and up to figure out the problem eventually.
Sure. And I mean, speak on the religion. I mean, yeah, you don't gotta worry about it. I mean, religion is a big part of both of our lives. We gotta speak on what moves the needle for us. So it may not move the needle for everybody, but having a mature audience, and I think that they be able to understand that, hey, this is what we're into. This is what works for us. We're not saying that it definitely has to work for anybody else, but this is what works for us. What works for you works for you.
Yeah,
And that's that we can only talk about what experiences
yeah,
we go
because
through
we
and what
we've
we go
lived through
through.
it and we've had
Right.
positive results, negative results, but it's like, yeah, we tried it this way and it didn't work. So now we're passing this along to let the next person know in case they want to try. It's kind of like Reddit, but like in real life. And I think this is
Right.
probably one of the only times I'm referencing Reddit like positively, where it's like you do feel a sense of like, okay, this is how people really feel about something, and this is the space to talk about it as open and as candidly as possible. So yeah, the at the end of the day, we're not saying that like you have to become religious, because I have seen how religion can like separate people if people swing too far one way on the other end. But it's at the same time like trying to get better, trying to be better, trying to overcome something is a universal struggle that we all face. So, one of the things that helps me get through it is religion, because it has a particular framework that helps me do the things that I need to do. But if that doesn't work for you and you've got another way that works, then like, try it. Let people know. Um say it in passing, say it when someone asks you. So, that's I think, yeah, it's like universal. That's how I see it.
Yeah, it's universal, and I mean, it's the thing about respect. Kind of just to slide off on this real quick, but yeah, it's,
Mhm.
it's the thing about respect. Cause like I told one of my homegirls the other day, I was like, she's an atheist, and it's like my homegirl's an atheist. I used to date somebody who was an atheist. I used to have another homegirl who was an atheist. So you kick back to the old generation. I think even if you probably told your parents like, yo, I'm hanging around some people who like atheists. Not to like assume what your parents would do or whatever. But I know
Mhm.
mine personally. My mother would be like, yeah, I don't think you should really be kicking it with them like that because they not of the same mindset of you. I don't really see what you're gonna think. And I had to tell my moms. I was like, no, because when I was around people like that, the whole thing about it is respect. 'Cause I have family members, distant family members, who come from where we come from, and it's like, yeah, I don't believe. And then their whole thing is like disrespect, because they'll be like, well, if God was real, blah 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 blah. And it's like, all right, well, you already, the energy that you're giving off on the hand is you trying to disprove what I believe in. So you already coming with disrespect. You're not trying to understand. You're trying to disprove whatever. But
Yeah,
the
and it,
people
and it
that I
shouldn't be
be
about
around,
that.
the people that I be around, they have the respect where it's just like, all right, you believe what you believe, I believe what I believe, and then I meet that respect with respect where it's just like, I'm not gonna thump the Bible on you. I'll say what I believe it to be, but I'll try to put it in a language and use words where it's like, it's not offensive to you. So like, whereas I would say something like, if I'm talking to you or somebody else who's down with the religion, I'd be like, you know, God doesn't give us things that we can't handle. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
would say to them, life won't give us things that we can't handle. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you get turned off by the religious aspect of what I'm saying. so you lose the message. But it's like I'm saying the same thing. I just changed the language a little bit so that you don't be like, oh, you just talking that religious stuff. Like I'm not listening to that.
Yeah.
And then when you meet them with that respect, they start to like become more understand. In my experience, anyway, they start to become more understanding. More receptive to like how you would normally talk or how you would normally say things, or you throwing in your religion a little bit here and there, whatever. I just feel like for the people who's neutral, they don't want it to be thumped on their head about this and that and whatever. And for the people who's religious, you need some of that neutrality too. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I always felt like it was a thing about respect because everybody that I've dealt with, either they believe, they don't believe, whatever, it's always based on respect. And as long as you keep that respect when you're talking to each other, the message don't ever get lost. You don't get distracted by
Yeah,
the
if you
lingo
can
and
see it
what you're saying.
open-minded, but not so open-minded that like your brain falls out of your head, that respect
Right.
is always going to be at the center of the conversation because nobody likes to be, talked at. People want to be amicable and people want to
Talk
have a
to.
respectful conversation. Yeah. So it's like
Yeah, back and
when you
forth.
crash out of the gate by being like, a combative Casey, it's like no one's going to want to listen to you. It's like when I'm playing a game or something or I'm watching a show and someone's like, "Oh, stop everything you're doing and watch this thing because it's better than what you're taking part in." And it's like, I probably would have given you the chance if you had framed that completely differently. So
Right.
that's the same thing when it comes to those upper tiers of conversation that are very, steeped in core values and, the makeup of why we do the things we do. So yeah, it's just about respect. Like if there's something that you want someone to be a part of or be included in, that requires a bit more activity, then like how you frame it and how you word it is going to play a big part in that opening impression. Because then what happens is people have that experience with somebody and now it's a catch-all for everyone. It's the saying of like, oh, what's a good example? Like, oh, all men are bad, right? Or all women are bad. But it's like, no, because now you're stripping both sexes of like any real like responsibility or credibility. Like, you got to say the person specifically because that person is bad, not everyone is bad. So now we're focusing on the person that is a problem within that space. We're addressing the issues as to why that is, and then we're problem solving it, talking about it, and then hopefully in a respectable manner, that person will be like, oh, my fault, my bad, whatever, right? Or they continue thinking that way because they got hurt at some point in their life and now they think it's, everyone's fault. It's that time old saying of hurt people hurt people. So when it comes to something like that, be mindful of your words because they do have a lot of power, and be mindful of the intent that you want to start with that person. So like if I wanted um money to come and play Supermarket Simulator with me, I'm not going to come out of the gate and be like, oh, the games that you play are complete garbage and trash and that's why you're stupid as a person, right? Because at that point you're not even talking about games, you're just talking about the person. And so many people online fall for that, and in the Twitch space too, to circle back to that, it's like people will attack you and not the idea or the IP or the game. And everyone's mileage varies about how they take that. And sometimes I would even have to catch myself because I'm like, oh, you're not talking to me, but like, you know, I know you're talking to me. So you kind of have to like figure out where you fit in that conversation. It's like with Genshin, right? I don't hate the game Genshin Impact. I just don't like how Mihoyo handles it business wise. Same thing with Overwatch, right? I wanted to know more about Hanzo, but that was Hanzo in 2016. Hanzo in 2024 is licking his paws and acting like a cat with a skin. You know what I mean? Like I would talk about that aspect of the game, not the overall game itself type of thing. Or I would be talking directly to the company about how their decisions were made and how they chose to handle it, not the actual person playing the game type of thing. So, yeah, just be mindful of that. Be respectful. Be mindful of your intent, and try to get them to watch Boruto. 2025.
Man, it's like respecting people's respecting and opinion and people's opinion too, and the thing I'm a jiggy like that, like recognizing that not everybody is gonna like everything that you like, or dislike everything just because you like it. In this day and age where it's like more of a hive mind and everybody is moving in towards like either you're with my opinion and these people's opinion, or you're against my opinion. Even if you're like neutral, you're kind of against my opinion. It's just like, it kind of needs to be just more like respect where people are
Yeah,
coming from.
it
You know
needs
what
to
I'm
it needs
saying?
to be
Like your opinion
respectful.
on Hanzo, or on a game, or on a show, or on a community, or whatever the case may be. And not people, but at the same time, like you said, also it has to be like, respect with what you're saying about them. Like, you're not saying like, oh man, you play Overwatch too. All right, well, you're just a straight weirdo because you play that game.
Yeah, it
And
shouldn't
it's
be
like,
like that. And if people do say
yeah,
that, then
like,
that
yeah,
says more about you than it does the other person. Like you got to remember, sometimes when you're saying something about someone else, you are indirectly also telling on yourself. Like there are just so many telltale signs about how passionate people are with something that it ends up becoming like their identity. And it's just like, at least in my head and how I understand it, it's just a video game. Calm down. It's just a movie. Calm down. It's just politics. Calm down. Right? But people put so much oomph into these things that it just blinds them to just the humanity of it all. And it shouldn't have to be like that.
no. That's probably, I mean, the people who do, like, trust me, I understand the passion. We had that whole episode, which I mean, that'll come later on in the season. We had that whole episode about what's it called? Backing up your save file and whatever, and just just letting it slide, letting it go
He's
when
gonna delete his save
these
file,
things,
guys. He's gonna do it.
these things. Yeah, I'm gonna crash out later, but
Oh, good lord.
when it comes to these things, and like just letting it slide. But people not wanting to let it slide, and like you said, it becomes part of their identity, or it has a personal tie to them or whatever. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we gotta have more conversations with each other. You know what I mean? Where it's like, one side can come and talk about, what it means to them, so that the other side can understand, like, yo, when you diss a whole thing like that, what you saying like really means to me, because that's some of this stuff is like a part of people's identity, a part of people's culture, a part of people's this, a part of people's that. It could be a part of a dear memory of a friend or family member, whatever the case may be. And like, it's not the fact that you insulting the franchise, or you insulting this thing that is a part of the franchise, but people take it as a targeted attack against that thing. But you'll never understand that. You'll never know that if you're not having a conversation about, what's really bothering that person. So that's why, talking to people and listening to people is very important. But anyway, I'm gonna steer us back on track. Um, Speaking of respect, and on streaming, and people, coming out and getting their own thing started, what would be some advice that you give to upcoming, or out, people getting their thing started with streaming? What would be some advice that you would give to those people about handling, disrespect, in the form of, maybe somebody leaving a comment on their thing, or, trying to hijack their chat, or, coming at them in the chat on live or whatever. What advice would you give somebody to dealing with that?
Well, I know there are some automation features that Twitch does. Sometimes people read it, sometimes people don't, right? For me, it's something as simple as the minute they enter the stream and they click on the chat box, it just reads act like a homie and you're good, because
Mhm.
it's at least a 13 plus app, so everyone should know how to at least act respectfully when talking to another person, right? And that goes for the roughy and high school kids, right? Because when they're around their friends, they know how to talk to each other in a way that is not antagonistic, So it's like, take that same energy and just apply it here, So that's what could be said slash interpreted in just the few words, act like a homie and we're good, right? Some people have these long amendments of, no racism, no homophobia, no slurs, no, and it's like, it's definitely a template, right? It's a good benchmark. But for me, it's just like, listen, you know how to act. I know how I think you should be acting, right? Don't call me out of my name. Don't talk bad about other people, because that's just, I want to say common sense, but as I'm learning, common sense is not so common. But it is common sense. It's, if you think you're going to do something that's going to get a rise out of the other person, maybe consider it, At least ask how the person's doing. Get to know them, right? Try to build that rapport before you just come swinging out the gate with all these inside jokes and memes that I may or may not know what you're referencing. But some people do it because they want the reaction, because maybe they're not getting the reaction out of their own life. Um, So for me personally, I already go into it with this disposition of, yeah, listen, I'm not really going to be mad at you because there's something else going on there, and I might not be the person to figure out what it is, but I'm going to at least try to be the person that gets you to start thinking about why you are the way you are. But I'm also going to keep playing this game, and no love lost. You know, people follow and unfollow all the time, right? I make it an open joke that I lose people when I go offline, and I lose people when I do go online, right? But it's not about the numbers. But some people do. Some people put their values in the numbers, and you shouldn't have to do that. The numbers don't tell you who you are. You are is who you are. If you tell yourself, who am I when no one else is looking, and you come up with a lot of positive answers, then congratulations, that is who you are. And it can definitely be broken down and a lot more bullet points to, like, what do you consume, who are your social circles, who do you surround yourself with. Like, if you have good positive answers to those, then chances are you're already in a really good space to be communing with other people. But if you're, black pilled, red pilled, purple pilled, whatever the type of pills are, and you put yourself on a broadcasting platform where you're trying to pull people that think just like you and act the same way you do, it is that type of echo chamber that can become very negative and toxic. And that's kind of the thing about echo chambers. Echo chambers hurt. Like, echo chambers give you migraines because everything you're saying is just ringing back into your ears, and you're not learning from it. You're just miring in your pain, and you're choosing not to learn from it because you just want to cope. There's a time and place to do that. But if you don't tell yourself, okay, I've had my moment, what do I do now to get better? If you don't ask yourself that and you truly don't want to get better, then you really don't have anyone to blame but yourself, because you owe it to yourself to be as best as you can. That's with being, on a camera, that's with being at your job, right? Yeah, you're going to have those days where you just, want to punch someone in the throat, or you're just like, oh my gosh, why are they asking me these stupid questions? But like, at some point, you got to reset, readjust, and get back into it, right? Because they don't know that you're going through something. One of my favorite things when talking to people is when I hear them say, oh, I used to do that. And it's like, well, what made you stop doing that? What factors in your life became so, apparent that you were just like, something's got to go, right? It could be something that was meaningless. It could be something that was meaningful, a passion, a hobby, right? And they just stopped doing it. Why? Because that could have been the thing that made the person, right in the world. And now that they had no longer have access to that, who knows what's being created underneath the surface when someone doesn't listen to them. So I try to take things like that in mind when I'm streaming, and I hit go live.
So when they come in with disrespect, you saying what?
Oh, and they come in with
You
disrespect.
just
I don't even sometimes I'll read the chat, right? Because that's just kind of a reflex, but you don't have to read the chat. If you see something and you can skim it and then just kind of go in your head, okay, yeah, that's probably not something I'm going to give attention to, and you just glaze over it and then you don't even mention it. Like, that's the thing. There's no rule that says you have to read every single chat that comes your way. There's no rule that says you have to acknowledge every single person that comes your way. If you feel that there's bad intent in that, you don't need to acknowledge it. Now, if you want to follow up with that person after stream and say, like, hey, you had came at this time and you said this thing, can you tell me more about that? Like, what was going on? Were you having a good day? Were you having a bad day? But like, at some point, it's like you can only engage with that person so much and realize, okay, this person's heart's not in it. So I'm not going to bend over backwards, right? And that's my personal thing, right? I bend over backwards sometimes for a lot of situations, and at some point I'm just kind of like, I don't even know this person, at least not as well as I would like to, right? Why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing it because I think that if I do these things, I would get to know them more. And it's like, but this is like the fifth, sixth, seventh time that they've done this, maybe maybe you should stop, and you have to have that conversation with yourself to be like, yeah, you know what, what good is this doing? And you keep it pushing. So for me, when it comes to like negative comments, I have no problem talking to that person specifically. I remember one time I was playing Death Stranding, one of the most confusing games of what, 2021 I think it came out in, or 2019, and someone was just like, oh, you're playing it wrong, oh, you fell over with your packages like an idiot. And I'm just sitting there like, it's just a game to me. Like, I don't really care. Like, You know, I'm getting the trophies. I'm completing the story. Like these words are just literally doing like zero damage, right? It's like the way I like to attribute it to. It's like in a video game when you take a super move, right? And you hit it on the enemy, but it's just as the enemy's like in an iframe, right? And you hear that sound effect where you're like, yeah, that did not connect at all, right? They took no damage from that. That's how it feels for me sometimes because it's just kind of like, yeah, like I really don't care. Like I'm at that age where like the video games are not intrinsically tied to my identity to the point where like if you say something bad about it, I feel attacked. Like I just don't care, right? I can talk to someone about Genshin about what I like about it and what I don't like about it and still treat that person with all the respect in the world. But how that person takes it, I can't help. How that person interprets it, I can't help. You know, that comes off of how the person is at in the world. Where's their head at? The only reason why I don't really gel with like Demon Slayer and JJK and all these newer animes is because people have this, you know, rabid approach of trying to force it down your throat that it is very off-putting. But if I had just come to these shows in my own time, I'd have been like, "Oh yeah, these are fine." My big brother was telling me about Castlevania for the longest and like I was so busy with other things that I was just like, I don't really care about, you know, vampires right now, right? I'm just not interested in it. I have no inkling whatsoever. The threshold of my interest has not been met. And at this rate, it's never going to be met. But then I had some time to myself where I wrote it down and I said, okay, I'm going to do this thing on this day off. And I started watching it and I was like, okay, this is fine. This is cool. And then I got to like season 3 and you know, my brother and I are on the phone screaming at each other about how good it is. So it's just things like that. So for me, my disposition is always going to be don't take offense to it. Don't don't let that get under your skin. See the words for what they are and take it how it sounds but not how it meant. And I just do it like that.
So just like you
This is
said,
like
don't take it too
advanced,
personal.
you know, AP right now. I'm so sorry for anyone who's just starting out. Just have fun. That's the starter pack. Just have fun. Here's 100 V
Nah, because
bucks,
I mean
and
they nah, because when they take what you're saying, like what you're saying, if it gets to somebody, somebody's gonna take it different.
you're
You
gonna
know what I
learn this
mean?
at the
Like
highest level, and then you're gonna work backwards, and you're
for
gonna be
for
great.
no, because for some people they need to hear what you just said like that, and then other people they're gonna hear. And I mean, people are gonna hear things and take what they take what they want to take out of it anyway. So I mean, some people are gonna hear the first thing that you said and they're gonna take something out of that. Some people are gonna hear this and they're gonna take something out of that. So whatever. I mean, this is just you telling your part, and then other people, for newcomers or whatever, they hear, this might be how I handle that, or maybe they flash back to it when they deal with something like that you're saying, so they can catch that.
Yeah,
But nah, that's good. That's good stuff. I mean, yeah, you already know when you put yourself on there on the internet, you gotta have thick skin because, people on here talk crazy. Because obviously, there's less consequences talking how they talk on here than it is talking to people face to
yeah.
face and in real life. And I know that when it comes to like streaming and the internet, like you get them people that come in there and they want to take your show and make it their show because they come in there and start donating like crazy, or they come in there and they start talking crazy, or they come in there like, they know everything about everything and try to tell you how to play the game, which I'll call that backseat gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and some other people will, do this and that or whatever, or spoil it for you, or tell you this and that. So it's just a lot of, no disrespect to in general, but it's just a lot of weirdos online.
Yeah, and,
So,
and that's why I was
you know,
saying that when you're getting into this, be mindful that there are going to be people that are way more passionate to you. And it's gonna be good sometimes, and it's gonna be bad sometimes. And in most cases, it is bad because the internet is an environment. Well, not even. I mean, sure, the internet's the internet, so I'll leave that alone. You guys can come to that as you see fit. But like, just for Twitch specifically, Twitch does foster a very unique crowd of people, and there are going to be people that are on the up and up, and there are going to be some people that just, all the screws aren't there, and some screws will be more tighter than others, and some people won't be as problematic as others, but there are a good handful of people that are like that. I remember there was this one person that came in, and like something always had to be about a color, right? And I would say something and they would go, but you're black though. And in my head I'm like, what does that mean? Because like I feel like I can swing it, right? Because sometimes it does feel like sit down comedian sometimes, where it's just like, man, like I can spin this, right? But if I spin it, I want to be mindful of how I'm spinning it, because who knows what I could be, deflecting that too, right? So I still found a way to make the conversations amicable. And again, it's not getting under my skin, but I'm just kind of like, where's this person coming from? Like, what makes them, out of everything that they see on my screen right now, makes them want to say, but you're black though? It's like, I don't, right? Sometimes I'm going to get it and sometimes I'm not. And for the times that I don't get it, I don't let it get me down, because, I know that I tried my best. And then I can just try again and again and again and again until I get it right. I've been doing this for 9 years, and at some point I don't want to say to get detached, but you do find out what your limit is, what you're tolerable to, and what you naturally put out is what's going to naturally come in. So I think I've done it enough times where people kind of get like, oh, I can try to say something sly to him, but like, he is going to pay attention to what I'm saying. He is going to, make note of that, or he's going to go the opposite direction and he's not going to acknowledge me at all. And now I'm not going to get the attention that I want. I can go both ways with it, but when I'm addressing that situation, I'm choosing to address it with understanding and respect, and not be, wrathful right out the gate. And I think that's helpful for everyone to learn if they're going to be doing this for a long time, especially when you get to affiliate. Usually when people want to get to when they're based to affiliate, it's starry-eyed, it's, I'm going to take over the world, I've got my community, I've got the people that watch me, and then you get to affiliate, and then people burn out, and then they get depressed, and then they were last seen 7 years ago. So just be mindful of those pitfalls that can come up in the type of people that you will meet in this line of work. That's for people who stream, and that's for people who just view. Everyone's always going to be more uniquely put together than you are, and that's going to be for better and for worse.
For sure, because I know there was there's a streamer I watch on Twitch sometimes. I follow, and he's black. And he said when he was first getting in there, I think he's pretty successful now. He's almost pulling up on 100,000 followers, trying to pull up on 100,000 subscribers. Subscribers. And he was saying, yeah, he was like, when I was first getting started out or whatever, when he was like mid-tier or whatever, he was like, yeah, people used to just come on my chat and just drop the N-word, and like, they want me to like act out and go off on that or acknowledge it and this and that or whatever. But he kind of put it to just like auto block, like what is it, auto ban or
Yeah,
auto whatever.
you can auto block messages, so those words
so
never get through.
Yeah, so they would come up with other ways of saying it or whatever.
Yeah,
and then he
that
just was
that
just
is
like,
that is going to happen.
He just started leaving it alone, because he would see he wouldn't say anything, and then he would just not say anything. He's like, yeah, because he's like, the moment I call it out, that's what they want. Or the
Yeah,
moment,
it's
like,
it's the
I ban it or
Streisand
this and
effect,
that.
like in full effect. That's what it is.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
what
so
it is, unfortunately.
he was like, I just let it be because that would be what they want, and now they don't say, oh, they try to get into a game, they watch when they try to get into a game, hop on the chat, and then they just say the word or whatever, like, because it tries to draw a reaction. And then, once you go through that enough times, it's just like, yeah, it's nothing. This is
Yeah,
Tuesday.
I don't want to be like,
Another
it's just a
ignorant
word,
person.
but like
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
just a word. Like in its most
when
simplistic
they
sense, it's just a word.
especially when they're doing it just to like draw a reaction out of you. The
Yeah.
best way to curb that is to not give them what they want. You
Yeah,
know
if
what
you
I'm
don't give
saying?
a
So
reaction to it, you don't give it power. And if you don't give it power, then it dies. But I
yeah,
do understand that the moment it happens, you don't want to be punked, you don't want to be embarrassed, you don't want to look bad in front of the people you think are watching you, but you have to figure out how to come to terms with all of that. Why are those, faceless people that you may or may not know so important to you, right? Why do you want to feel like such a figure that, can't be punked or can't be messed with or can't be challenged? Like you have to ask yourself those questions, and you have to figure out, okay, well, do I want to be this, big old tough guy or, tough girl streamer and act like I don't care about any of this stuff? But then if you do that, then it's like, okay, well, now you're bottling all this up, and at some point you're going to blow it out on somebody, right? It might be on stream, it might
well,
be in real life. But if you don't
yeah,
address it
and,
if you don't have an outlet to healthfully get it out of your system, that's going to spiral on somebody else. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It's gonna happen. It might not happen on stream, but something that happened on stream might play into like real life, right? You might have had a really good stream that then got curb stomped in the end because someone hijacked it, or somebody hijacked it at the start, and now the rest of the stream is gonna be toxic because of that. It happens anywhere, just like at work. If I go to my job, got my food ready to go, and I haven't even gotten a chance to eat my food yet because I walked into 2 fire alarms, one section 12, and a potential suicidal ideation, like at what point am I going to be able to reset that? Do I reset when it's all happening? Do I reset when it's over? Do I reset when I get to home? But if you don't address those and acknowledge it and be like, whoa, like I'm being a part of the problem and I'm not working towards a solution, then that's going to bleed out to somewhere else.
Yep. And the thing that I add, because I mean, you got the personal experience, um, just like kind of how you saying like with the job, like when you're streaming, when you're online as a personality or entertainer or whatever, you're kind of your business is kind of yourself. You become like a business.
Yeah.
And so when you are like the owner of a business, what I used to say, because I used to play a MMORPG on online, and the guy who owned it, who ran it, would play with us.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when somebody would start talking about the game or be upset about the game or whatever the case may be, a lot of times he'd end up taking it personal. And then when they're saying what they're saying or whatever, he would either get into an argument with them, sometimes he banned them or whatever the case may be. And it's like, bro, at some point I was kind of like saying like, nah, me as a bystander, it's like, nah, I feel uncomfortable coming to you about some type of thing that I might think be wrong with the game because of how you carry yourself. And I see how you do that with them. This person is pointing something out, you get all offended.
Yeah.
And then you do this or that or whatever with them.
Or
It
it's
would be
like,
like,
and it's
go
like, if
ahead.
that's how you flagship your brand, then just know that that has consequences of kind of like, just backfiring. I remember when the whole Dr. Disrespect thing was happening. And as again, somebody who's been doing this for a while, I don't really keep my ear to the ground with like the more popular streamers, right? Now, for all intents and purposes, it probably would make sense to watch these pillars of the community in their prime and then take from that and then apply it to my own. But for some reason, it's just not in me to do, right? Because I don't want to take notes from these type of people, right? However that may sound, however it may be taken. I personally do not want to learn from people that I perceive as problematic or scummy or sacky. And when the whole Dr. Disrespect thing was happening about him talking to a minor or she came to him first, I was like, wow, this does sound pretty serious, but he chose to address it as the character he plays. And I'm thinking
Mhm.
this is a real person who talked to another real person who is now in hot water for a very real situation, and they're choosing to address it in their persona. And I just
Right.
could not wrap my head around about how just off-putting that felt, right? And there are a lot of people like that. Um some I can't remember the person's name, but they came into my stream one time and it was just like one was a cat, one was a dinosaur, and like I'm thinking like, okay, I say that I'm a dinosaur sometimes too, but like it's not in my pronouns, right? Because at the end of the day, I am a man. I am
Mhm.
heterosexual, right? And I say that I am a dinosaur, unquote, as like a joke, right? Because I grew up with dinosaurs, so I love dinosaurs. But to be like, yeah, this is like my personality and everything that I do, I just cannot cross into that threshold because I know what my reality is, right? If I
Right.
take my hand and I punch it through my TV, I'm gonna bleed. I might get shocked. I might die, right? I'm not gonna go, oh, well, if I do it, I'm gonna get so many views. It's like, no, there's a line that needs to be established. There's a boundary that has to be set. And if you don't do that because you're so busy being led by the nose of how your quote unquote community thinks you should handle things, then that's going to be your undoing, because the minute something goes south for you, those same people not might not be in your corner to help you out. They're just going to be there because it feels exciting to be around something that is a problem, right? It's like a car crash, right? You're complaining about the entire drive up there, but then the minute you get there, you're slowing down just like everybody else. and now you are becoming a part of the problem. So sometimes it's like that when dealing with internet personalities and people online, where it's like, yeah, they're with you until they're not. So I be mindful of that, and I'm not saying that I don't want to be your friend or I don't want to hear you out. I do want to hear you out. I do want to make sure that your well-being is okay because that's just the human thing to do. But if you tell me something that I then hear and go, well, have you considered therapy, right? And not as a pejorative, because I know people say that as a slam dunk on people, which is absolutely wrong. But I would say, have you considered therapy, right? Who do you have in your life that you can talk to? What are some things in your life hobby wise that you can do to, release that stress and that pressure, right? What are some ways that you can just recenter yourself? Some people like to like clean up their room, right? Because metaphorically, it's like cleaning your mental space. So I try to get conversations turned into that and not so much just like insults and quippy jokes and, trying to take the situation and turn it into a meme. But unfortunately, that's what people at the top do. And the people who watch those people get caught up in that and then want to feel like they're a part of something greater, because let's be honest, a lot of us live very mundane lives, right? But there's nothing wrong in going to work, working your 9 to 5, your 3 to 11, buying groceries on the way home, going to the gym, coming home, watching a movie, playing a game, talking on the phone with your loved one. There's nothing wrong with that, but somehow, somewhere, someone at the top said that these things are goofy, and then everyone else underneath that followed suit and then started following off of what that person felt. You know, it's
Yeah.
I guess it's like a hive mind, like how you said earlier, where people just hear things and then
Hmm.
they just start acclimating it to their own thing, even though they were never doing that before. Like no one just randomly started saying demure, right? Someone said that from the top, and then someone was like, "Oh, that cool person said it, so I'm gonna say it, so I can be cool, and I'm gonna be the best in my social circles," right? And you can even hear by the way that I'm talking about it. It's very simplistic. I say it this way, therefore it's gonna be this way, and then that's how it's gonna go this way. And it's just like, no, the reality is you're saying something that you heard from someone that you thought would give you a few social points amongst your social peers that you want to feel the top of, and however it goes from there is however it goes from there. But that's the type of stuff you come across when you're on the internet, right? You're hearing a million billion things from all these different people, places, sources. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I like Twitch so much, is because Twitch to me feels like old school YouTube in terms of just broadcasting yourself, where you are your brand, and how you want to be perceived is how you're going to put yourself out there. So for me, I'm not saying that I am like the overt wholesome guy, but it's like the way I act on Twitch is the same way I act in real life. The same way I act in real life is the same way I'm acting right now on this podcast, right? There are going to be some days where I just don't want to talk to people. There are going to be days where I want to help people, like out of my way to help people. And there are going to be some days where I just sit in the middle, where it's like, hey, listen, I'll listen to you, but this is all I can offer at this point, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for some reason, one way or another, people at the top of these influencer spaces, and I'm not just saying influencer in the social media sense, I'm saying like people who just turn the tides of how the people underneath them are supposed to act, say something or do something, and then everyone follows that, and that person that they're following might not be the best person to follow. If all your friends' names were Cliff, would you jump off them? It's No, you got to walk to the beat of your own drum and find your center. And if you don't, you're going to be a follower in the worst sense possible, like everyone else. I think there was a saying to basically sum it all up, but it's like, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. But
Fall for anything.
that's usually used like in the political spheres, but I think this can also apply to real life as well. Like if you don't
Yeah, it could
have
be used in anything.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you don't really have like your own identity, a healthy identity, then anyone can come in and just taint that. You're going to be a blank canvas that's going to be put in any color that someone sees fit, and then when they're done with you, that's it. And
Yeah,
now you're going
because
to be hurt.
a lot of the top tier influencers, that's what they do.
Yeah,
They influence. It's in the name. They influence their followers and the people that watch them or whatever to
yeah. And
be. And I mean,
sometimes the
some of
influencers get influenced by the influencers. Like it's
well,
it's
they
it's
have
literally
to
a
because
cycle.
there's a pressure. There's a pressure when you get to the top. Um, Depending on how you get to the top. and there's a pressure when you get to the top, and what it means to. It's like why I never really worry about you, because it's like, you know, um, Marcel is Marcel. Here on the internet, at work, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you don't go on the internet and play a persona. You don't become, another person, or, put on a thing. Like, you do the thing that you have to do like anybody would. Like, obviously, like when I go to work, like, yeah, I talk my lingo and I say what I say, but, there's certain things that I don't say. And then, I can't talk to everybody like they're my good friend or whatever the case may be. I have to have a modicum of, like, customer service and stuff like that in my job, and,
Yeah.
giving respect and whatever. But, I'm still me. I'm not a completely
Yeah,
different
there
person or
there will be
whatever. And you're
moments
like
in
that on
life where you gotta like
it.
code switch it sometimes, where you're like, okay, I'm in a church, right? So maybe I shouldn't be saying, uh, "gosh darn," right? In that other way, right? Because if people don't know, I don't swear,
Yeah.
but I have these creative, fun ways to still get the point across, but not making it so close that it's the actual thing. Um, but yeah, a lot of it is just being yourself. I remember last week, so I've been doing this thing with this game that came out called Marvel Rivals. You know about it, Money, because you video game. But to the people who don't know, there's this new game that came out called Marvel Rivals. It's based off of the Marvel property from Marvel Comics. Some of it's related to the MCU. Some of it is related to the 60 plus years of comic book history. So I got into this habit of making these little videos of things that my brain jumps to when I'm playing certain characters. And as of last week, the Fantastic Four is going to be released sometime, I want to say next week. And this just happened to coincide with the videos that I was making about Mr. Fantastic, the Human Torch. But I'm saying to myself, man, if I was just rabid, right, and I wanted to be the top of the top, right, and I wanted to get as many clicks and views and engagement and interaction as possible, right, I gotta release this now. I gotta put this video on now, because if I don't, someone else is gonna do. But I don't act like that, right? Because chances are, if you have an idea about something, somebody's already thought of it. If you have a question that's so burning that you think is just stupid, type it up and see if somebody's already answered it and read it from like 12 years ago. So I just take my time with it. The video that I have on the Human Torch is going to be out next week. Even though all the data and metrics says it's beneficial to do it now, like 2 days ago. It's like, no, I'll do it next week.
Right.
This stuff isn't going
Yeah.
anywhere. Anything, it's topical. Everything is topical. It's going to have its moments of where it's heightened, where it's going to be engaged with the most, and then it's going to trickle down. But then sometimes it might circle back and be reviewed for something, right? A documentary, right? Or a video that you want to show to a friend. There are so many videos that I found of old that I just pull up because I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember this thing from like 13 years ago. Let me send it to my brother, right? Or let me send it to Money. This stuff isn't going anywhere. Once you put it out there, it's there forever. So don't feel like you
Mm-hmm.
have to clamor at this never-ending cycle of like trying to be at the top, because then once you're at the top, now you have to maintain being at the top. And that comes with a lot of paranoia, or perceived paranoia, because you think, oh no, like everyone's out to like dethrone me. And it's like that type of feeling of comes from the people you followed. That type of feeling comes from the people that you copied their models off of and then realized, wow, I did the same things that they did, but I didn't understand why they were doing it that way. The way I attribute it to go into another video game, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! There are a lot of people in the community that will just copy decks and then think that they're gonna win. But there's a difference between a deck copied from like a grandmaster and a deck copied from somebody who knows how to play the game.
Right.
And
It's one of the reasons why, like, I admire you, because it's like you'll take a crap deck and just, like, beat everybody with it, because it's like you know what every card does. You have like five, six, seven different strategies for every situation or whatever. Whereas if somebody who does what you just said, they copied a net deck, I think is what it's called. They
yes,
net deck it, and they read the thing or they watch a video. It's like, the one way. So if you don't got your cards in a row or whatever, you don't got it exactly like how it happened on that thingamajiggy, you don't know what to
yeah.
do.
Or
You
it's
don't
like
know
the
how to
minute
get
you
out of
stray from that
situations.
path, you just become like you're like, what do I do, right? You don't trust the
Right.
thing that you copied, and then you don't trust yourself. So now you're stuck in this catch 22 where you're literally going to crash and burn. So that's what I try
Yeah.
to get across to people when like it comes to like the streaming thing, right? Be mindful of who
Mhm.
you're following, because when you're going to get to that same place, right? If you keep trying hard enough at anything you do, you are going to get to that spot at some point. But then you also have to realize now you're the new vanguard. You're not going to be the
Either that or
person.
just be yourself.
Yeah,
Cause I
be
mean, you know what
yourself.
I'm saying? Like,
But just know that
yeah,
that's
be
going to
yourself
come with
because
being an influence in and of itself. So who you want to be is going to dictate how other people see you. And you have to choose, okay, how do I want to go into this? Do I want to be honest? Do I want to build a character? Do I want to build up this crazy elaborate story about, I stream on Twitch at, 3 in the morning because if I do it at any other time, my ex is going to find me, right? You have to be mindful about these things that you're creating, because the internet is an ever changing amalgamation of a beast that will chew you up, spit you out, and then still eat the regurgitated remains. So it's just
yeah,
like,
once you get exposed, you either gotta be so big that it don't matter, or you would like. I mean, honestly, see, you took it to the video game. I'll take it to music. Like the whole, I don't, I you heard something about it. That whole beef with Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
mhm,
That's all about who one is. One is who they are, just a straight hip hop dude, and the other one is kind of like, yeah, I kind of like hip hop, or I liked hip hop because hip hop was popular when I broke into music, and that seemed like it was the way to go. And then I start crossing over with younger hip hop stars and trashy hip hop stars and pop stars and this and that and whatever, because I just want to be the man. Drake just wants to be, the man. So, if you get into streaming or whatever, you're like, yeah, I just want to be, I want to be Kai Cenat big. I want to be XQC big. I want to be, Aiden Ross or whatever. Maybe I'm ignorant because those are the big names that I know. But yeah, I want to be big like that. And you do whatever they do, or you do whatever you got to do to make it big like that, but you're not being true to yourself. It's really gonna weigh you down as a person because everything you do, you have to monitor. You gotta monitor who you hang with. You gotta monitor who you talk to. You gotta monitor who you collab with. You gotta monitor what you're doing in public. You gotta
yeah.
monitor this.
and
Monitor
every
that.
and everything
Like
is a
you
numbers game to a lot of these people at the top, and well, maybe
and
not
you're
the top,
24/7.
but
You're working 24/7.
yeah.
24/7 you're working. Everything you do is work. And that's why when what's old cousin's name? Hassan. When Hassan wanted to be like, yeah, I think that streaming is kind of tougher than a 9 to 5 or whatever. If you do stuff like that, yeah, it's gonna be tougher for you because everything you do is always working. Me personally, when I go punching at my job at 6 and I punch out at 2, I'm not thinking about my job until
Yeah,
tomorrow.
you can leave it in the rearview mirror. But with streaming,
Yeah,
it does require a different type of energy out of you. I get what he's saying, but to compare it and juxtapose it to the 9 to 5 grind, it requires two different things. Working a streaming job and a construction job just require two different aspects of the human body. Right? So to say, oh, streaming is so much harder compared to construction, no, it's not. Compared to working in the sewer, no, it's not. A desk job, maybe, right? Because you only got to answer the phone a few times. But then, depending on what is on the other end of that phone, could be the difference of what makes that favorable to streaming and vice versa, right? When I take
yeah,
a call online from my job, there's a chance it could be anything that Boston Fire, Boston EMS would have to deal with.
right.
And we have to figure that out, because if not, we're going to get calls from parents. There might be a lawsuit involved. There might be a death involved, right? We have to act fast. We have to rely on our training to the highest level. Streaming does not pull the same type of weight out of somebody, because all you're doing is you're reading chat. You might engage with a troll. It might turn into an argument, but at the end of the day, what is like this argument is not going to, it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to affect your income, right? That's one person out of the millions of people that are already like watching you or lurking. However, right? It's two different beasts. So that's how I see it, right? I
Yeah,
get where
and
he's
there's
coming from and people who think like that, but it's requiring two different things from you.
and that can even be said with just two regular 9 to 5s. Like the 9 to 5 I do, and the 9 to 5 like a construction worker does, or the 9 to 5 you do, and the 9 to 5 they wear on you differently. Like there's construction, carpentry, painting, all of that stuff. Like that's a physically draining job.
Yep.
Our jobs are more mentally draining, and it's the same thing. Like I got that from with my mother when my mother works from home, so it's like, all right, they tease her, oh, hey, you don't have to really think, all you gotta do is just walk in the other room to make it kind of seem like, you don't really have to go nowhere, you don't really do no real work. But no, she does real work. It's mental work, and it requires her to be, you know, who she got to be, do what she got to do in the other room over there, and do what she has to do. So it's not the same as a painter. It's not the same as a mechanic. It's not the same as whatever, but it's still work.
Yeah.
At the same time, with the whole streaming thing, like, yeah, obviously you can't you shouldn't even compare it to a 9 to 5 because it's different. First of all, you make your own hours, or you go on the thing that works beneficially for you, and it's a different kind of thing. But don't get me wrong, you do still gotta work. Because I was getting ready to say, nah, you don't gotta work. Because if you decide you want to be a character, you got to be that character.
Yeah.
And what I was gonna say with the story earlier was, you'd be better served of not insulting, the people, your viewers, your fan base, whatever, even if they don't like agree with you or whatever the case may be, because you are your own business. You don't really see the owner of KFC arguing with the person on Yelp who says, "Yo, your chicken sucks."
I'm a finger
You know
lick
what I
and
mean?
mess
Because
you up.
you know what I mean? Because if they see that, they're gonna be like, "Oh, one, that's how we get attention," and two, it's like, "Yo, why is the owner of the store arguing with this person here that doesn't like it? If that person doesn't like it, that person doesn't like it. Somebody else might like it. So you just keep pushing and doing your own thing instead of you breaking down. Oh man, this person don't like my stuff. All right, well I got to get in here and think. Oh man, so this person gave me a bad comment. Well, I got to go in here and think with them. Why you interact? Because you interact with the person that gives you the bad comment, but you won't interact with the people that give you praise. And so it makes the people who give you praise and it makes the people that like your product go, how, how come we can't interact with them? We like the stuff, we rock with the stuff. But the person who's hating on it, they get the interaction. So, it's not good to be
Yeah.
like that.
And
Just
at
make
the end of
sure
the
that
day,
you
they can always turn on you. One minute they're your best friend,
yeah.
and then the next day they're your worst enemy. I'm not saying you got to keep everybody at like a pool stick pull away, but it's like just be mindful. Not everyone wants to be your friend. Not everyone is going to want to take the time to get to know you. Some people are going to see you as a number, and they're going to start planning based off of that, or that's how they're going to see you. I've had so many raids where when it's all said and done, I'll go back to the person that rated into me and I'll watch like the last 30 minutes of their stream or have it up in the background, and hearing that conversation of like, okay, let's go into this person, right? We don't know them. They're a very small person, so let's show them love, right? Or let's not be too crazy on them. And I'm just sitting there like, if you see how I act on stream, you're like, oh yeah, this guy can handle it, right? But it's these little adjectives and verbs that make me go, oh, this person's already gotten an impression of me, and they haven't even heard how I, sound like. And all of this came from a number, or all this came from the platform that I'm on, or all this came from the game I'm playing, right? It just creates these inverse slash adverse, like just boom, stamped, got it figured out. And it's like, no, that's not the case. That's that I don't want to say internet culture, but it's like the way I see it, everyone's like trying to get to the top, and everyone's trying to step on each other to do it. And it's like, dude, I'm not saying I don't want to like be good at this or be successful at it, but to be like quote unquote famous, like no, that's not the goal. It should never be the goal for anyone. Think about it, guys.
It's
You
not.
want to you want to get famous, and then what? All that comes with is notoriety, a lot of money, but then it comes at the cost of your privacy and your opinions and your value. And the minute you try to change from that, you're just met with, well, you make more money than us, so shut up. We get to invade on your space and your boundaries and your privacy because you make more than us. Does that sound right to anybody? But no, because the influencers make this seem like it's just the king's glory, people don't think about, well, what do we do now that we're here? Like, no one ever thinks it
Yeah.
through. And that's what I try to tell people. Think it through. You want to be famous, and then what? I personally, I'm gonna tell you right now, if someone from YouTube ever sees this and says, make this guy famous, don't make me famous, just give me enough money so I can take care of my family, enough to put it in stocks, and then I'm going off to just back to being normal, right? Like my combo meter has effectively ended, right? I hit the streak, I did what I had to do in that time, in that chance time, and now I'm back to ground zero, right? But I've learned something while being on that other side. But to be like, oh, I want to
Yeah,
be famous and then that's it. Okay, just remember you have to keep that up for the rest of your life. Or if somebody gets famous for
yeah.
doing something quote unquote stupid, it's like, okay, well now you have to keep up that bit and you can never grow past from that. Hawk to a girl,
Or that,
Chick-fil-A sauce
or that
girl.
follow,
It's
yeah,
like,
that follows you for the
yeah,
rest of your life.
it's like, yeah, that's gonna follow you for the rest of your life, and then that's what people are gonna think of you for the rest of your life. That's the identity that you're now building for yourself. And you have to be
Hmm.
mindful of that because let's say, um, I don't know if this has happened yet, but like let's just take the Hawk Tuah girl for example.
That's what I was thinking about.
She's famous enough now to do like press meetings and con meetings and people can meet her, right? What are you gonna do when someone walks up to you and says, "Hey, can you say Hawk Tuah and spit in my mouth?" You're like, but that's who you've attracted by doing that type of thing.
Or just that's it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And then when you try to say
Well,
like, "Oh,
first,
that's weird," but you're famous, so you should be able to do it, right? Money. Come on, say Hawk Tuah.
yeah, but you yes,
Spit on my forehead. It's
exactly,
like
because that's what
what?
you
Like no, that's not right.
that's what comes with it. Because that's what my favorite one thing I used to say all the time is um one thing I used to say all the time is life ain't no movie. In
Yeah,
the
it's
meaning that
not.
like people be thinking like, all right, part of a movie is like, all right, I got this one thing I want to do. It's gonna go right. Okay. So you do that. The whole movie is about getting to that point, and once you reach that point, once you complete your goal or whatever, movie ends, right? In real life, life's not like that.
Oh, you still
You
gotta go
reach
to
your
work the
goal
next day.
in real life, yeah, exactly. It keeps on going, and then what? So I used to always be like, okay, you want to do this, all right, and then what? And then everybody be like, what you mean? That's my goal. It's like, but you got to think about what comes next because you know what I mean? If you get there, you complete it, you're gonna be like, so I mean
You
you
ever see
can't just
that?
be like, yeah, you know
You ever see that thing on
that.
SpongeBob with Plankton? And he's like, "Now what?" And he's like, "I don't know. I didn't think I'd get this far."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You gotta think it
That's
through,
the big
guys.
joke. Yeah, you gotta think I'm a jiggy. You gotta know. So that's why I said it's easy if you do it. Like I always respect you think because I respect realness and I respect people, but I respect that. If you ever get there, you'll get there being yourself. You'll get there, on your own. Like you said, you don't want to. It's not like you don't want to, but it's not like you're dying to try to make that happen.
Yeah, men and
So
women of the world have
if you
nothing to
ever,
gain if they sell their soul in the process. That's
yeah, if you ever get
that's
there,
that's
it's
just
gonna
what it
be
is at the end of the day.
because
If you get there, it's
you is
because
you. And
you earned it. But I will say this though, this is an interesting shift that I see happening where like I don't know how to say this, but like everyday people, I guess, are like choosing who they make famous. But then when let's say famous person whatever does something stupid, they're then saying, "Wow, this is the person we made famous." I don't know. It just feels like a council of just regular people choosing who they get to have
well,
represent them
nah,
celebrity wise.
because there's too many. There's too many people who get through. There's way too many
Well,
people
right,
that
but I'm
get through.
saying
Because
those
listen,
those people those people get through because they have enough people on the regular that are like blowing them up. I guess I don't know because like again, the Hawk Tour girl, she
that's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't nothing. Like it really wasn't
it
nothing. And
wasn't
I seen that,
it
and
was
I'm
a
just
one it
like,
was a one time thing, right? And someone took it and they just blew it up and made it as funny as possible, right? It's a joke that was overplayed, and no disrespect to like quote unquote Hawk Tour girl because I don't know your name, right?
that's what I'm saying. No, we
That's
just keep
the
calling the hot tour
and that's
girl,
the sad
and
part
that's
of it.
it.
Like I don't, I'm just call it HTG. But like I don't know your name because like you weren't introduced in that quote unquote famous space like the Hollywood of old would do it. I'm not saying you're an industry plant, but if I'm to believe that you were a regular person and then you got to where you were by saying something silly and then you chose to ride that all the way to the bank, it's like how else would I know you by? Right? I could take it upon myself to
But
educate myself and try to learn you, but at the end of the day, you're just another person, right? Like do I know you? Do I want to know you? Right? Like what's that going to do for the both of us? I don't
well,
know.
because as of right now, she's still just a one hit wonder. If this was music, she'd be a one hit wonder because she still hasn't done anything bigger than Hawk Tour. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Hmm.
like that's why you call her HTG because that's the only thing we know about know her as. It's like the same thing as that other little bad kid that was on Dr. Phil, Cash Me Outside or whatever. I
Oh
know her name, but
yeah.
it's like yeah, you know what
Oh
I'm
oh
saying?
my
Like
gosh. Oh yeah.
they get famous off of that, and it's like all right. if you want to give them grace, you could be like, all right, cool, you got famous off of that. Now you gonna follow it up. What are you gonna follow it up with? And they don't follow it up with nothing. I think Cash Me Outside chick did OnlyFans, but that's about it. And then
Oof.
Hawk Two is trying to get into crypto or something, and she's in the middle of a lawsuit or something for like scam or something like that. So you see what I'm saying? Like they never follow it up
Yeah.
with anything else. So it's like that's your one hit. That was your break in. But like if and I don't really think they wanted to be famous, but it's like if you ride that wave, then they just end up riding that wave, and they're gonna go
Yeah,
along
you,
for as
you
long
gotta
as
you
it
gotta think
takes.
it through, because once all of that power is thrusted upon you and you don't know how to wield it, it's like, okay, well, what are you gonna do? And that's why I say to people, you gotta think it through. Like, who are you gonna be if this moment happened to you? It's like when people say like, oh, if I won $1 million, I would do this, that would, I would live outside of my means. That's basically what I hear from like 80% of the people that I ask.
And that's why
But
that's why they go broke.
yeah, but if you ask me, if I got that much money, ideally, I would buy a snowblower, and I would use that snowblower to make money. And then I would use the money that I made from that snowblower and buy a second snowblower. And then I would hire a person to use the first snowblower so I can use the second one and give that first person like 50% of the cut.
So then start your own snowblowing business.
There you go, right? And that was off of the money that was just given to me, but making it work for you, not the other way around. Because if you're a
Right.
slave to it, you're never going to get out of its trappings. But people just don't see it until they're either flat broke, their back's against the wall, or I don't know, they listen to some influencer who doesn't know any better, right? They're following the same thing that they were inspired to get to in the situation that they're in. I'm not saying it's always bad, but it's just like if you're blindly following somebody, just be mindful of the ramifications that's going to come with that. I remember, I forgot who it was. It was someone at the old Stop and Shop, but like when I tell you they would just randomly burst, and I don't even think they were autistic, but I think they would just randomly burst out like hip hop sayings and all these hand signs and these gestures and these, I guess, gang banging signs or whatever. And I'm just sitting there like, man, like this person is influenced by the stuff they consume. You know, it's just like if I was talking to you and then out of nowhere I just went like work 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 work. It's like you you good, Cell? Like, it's okay, you know. There's this meme on the Hunger Games where this woman is just saying TikTok, right? Now, even though she's talking about something
Mhm.
related to the movie, but because we understand it as the app TikTok, that's how people are going to be like 40 years from now. I think most likely our generation, if not the one right in front of us, where they just reference these things that they've heard because that's what stuck to their brain and gave them the highest hits of dopamine and laughter and haha, this is so funny. Like, let me share this with my friends. But then like you never grow past that. It's like this mental like degradation. Um Not to monkey branch into this other thing, but since we were talking about degradation, it kind of reminds me of like this XQC effect where people just talk, I want to say very fast, but not very fast in the sense of like, it's just like, so what are we doing today, man? We're streaming? We doing this? Let's go. It's
Yeah,
like, can
but
can can you talk in a
he
straight sentence? Do that for
he
me.
talks like that because he got ADHD.
Yes, but you see how other people try to chameleon that personality when they don't even
Right.
like they don't even talk like that to begin with. So you're forcing your brain to be constructed in a way where it's like I need to emulate this or I need to emulate someone that I like so much that I try to also, ascribe to their personality. And it's like,
When you don't have their thingamajig.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like how
A-
you was telling
And
me
I and
about
I
in Boruto, the kid who copied Kakashi and he's hurting his eye
yeah.
because
Boris is so legit though. But yes, absolutely. And it's just like that comes from people's need to want to be at, I guess, the top, or they want to be that guy or that girl in their social circles. That like everyone wants to be a like an alpha or a sigma or whatever. Like everyone wants to be number
alpha.
one, but it's like there's
Yeah.
benefits to being the right hand man. Not everyone can be the muscle bound jock, right? Because if
Right.
you fostered a culture, right, where the strong dominate the weak, but the strong don't know how to sustain their life expectancy beyond of protein and meat, right? Well, that's the same thing, but protein and whey, I guess. It's like, okay, well, how are they going to get out of this situation without their intellect? That's where the nerd or the geek would come in, right? Or someone with intellect. right? Oppenheimer did not make the atomic bomb by being a muscle-bound juice head, right? He made it because his intellect was highly valued, and he just happened to be a very smart individual, right? So there's going to be people in life where, like, sure, you're not A, but you have a great benefit to being person B, and vice versa. But everybody wants to be like him or
Everybody wants
her,
to be number one.
and
Yeah, yeah.
it's like no, you can't, and that should be okay. But because this environment of how people get their information, it's all just pressed upon them of you got to do this, you got to buy this, you got to spend this, you got to show people this. Like, they hit you with so much stuff that they bludgeon your capacity for critical thinking, and then before you know it, you're getting caught up in the same schemes that they're putting you onto. And it's just like, if you just stop to think it through. Yes, I just figured out the title and the thumbnail. Yes, it only took like an hour and 21 minutes, but we did it. That's what comes to my mind. It's like, you guys got to think this through. Because at the end of the day, these people, in the most neutral way possible, do not care about you. You hear about that thing with the Pi app and the Honey app and all that? Yeah, the Honey browser extension. Okay, so I'll have you look it up whenever you look it up. But basically, the Honey extension was supposed to be this free browser extension that would help you find coupon deals on your devices. So let's say you're at Amazon, you're buying a whole bunch of video games, and then you click on the Honey ad, and then the Honey would basically try to find a way to find coupons for you, okay, to make your price lower. Now, let's say you're watching one of your streamer buddies, and they say, hey, merch is available in my store, buy it here, okay? So you click the link to the streamer's store, you go to their Streamlabs store or whatever, right, their storefront, and what Honey does is, Honey will remove the person from the link and put themselves in the space in between, so now the person who's really getting the cut of that commission is Honey, not the streamer, even though the business being conducted is on the streamer's storefront. Now, think of how many people... Oh, you know why you probably didn't see this? Because you're on YouTube Premium. I just realized that.
Okay.
Yeah, but there were a lot of YouTubers that were pushing this Honey app. And now that this app, or this extension browser, is being faulted for as a scam, and a very bad one at that, now everyone's trying to feign ignorance. Everyone's like, oh no, I wasn't promoting that. No, I didn't really back that up. If I'm taking on a sponsorship, I'm not saying I'm going to follow it all the way to the end of the earth in terms of its business model, but I'm going to make sure, like, okay, where's this stuff coming from? When I did the sponsorship for HelloFresh, I tried it out myself first, right? Got into the ins and outs. I'm looking through the settings. I'm looking through the terms and conditions and agreements, right? And I'm like, okay, I can swing this, but they're not like some... I mean, I'm going to go on record and saying this. They're not like some crazy, terrible, mega maniacal company, right, that I'm aware of.
That you know of, yeah.
Right. Sure. But if they were, I would not want to push that onto somebody. There was another one that was big. It's called Established Titles. Established Titles would basically tell you, hey, Money Green, if you subscribe to this,
you can be a lord.
You can be a lord or a lady. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, there's no way. Right? Like, it's there's no way. But people fell for it. Like, everyday people fell for it. And then when they got caught for being scammers, now the people that were pushing it don't want to talk about it. Nowhere to be found. But these are the people that you followed. These were the also everyday people that just happen to have a few more digits in their bank account than you that said, hey, buy this product. You guys got to think it through. Because if you guys keep falling for this, more things are going to be pushed onto you.
I've been seeing, because I started watching these like pranker people, because the people that do pranks, they do stupid stuff like run up on people, talk all kind of crazy, and then people be ready to like test their jaw, and then they want to tell them, oh no, I'm recording, it's a prank. But what they be doing is they be like, yo, listen, if you click this link and sign up on my TikTok or on my whatever, and you do these offers or whatever, you'll get $200 in your Cash App, or you get $300 in your Cash App, or this or that or whatever. Now, mind you, anytime anything sounds too good to be true, the very least you should do is Google it, because we're in the
Yeah.
information age where you can get any type of information you want off of Google. So if anything ever sounds too good to be true to you, ladies and gentlemen, please look into it at the very
Do
least.
your due diligence, because if you don't,
But
you will be made had.
yeah, yeah, at the very least look into it, 'cause it's just a Google search away. But yeah, so they got these people. All right, you click this link. You do these offers. You do this interview. You do this, that, whatever, and you can get like $700 in your cash app or $200 in your cash app. It's free money. Now, I mean, that sounds crazy because who the heck is gonna who? Why would they give you $700 for just doing some offers or whatever? And then you have to ask, what would they get out of it? So at the very least, they get these YouTubers advertising. So YouTubers are definitely getting paid.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
every once in a blue
unfortunately,
moon, somebody else will get
these
paid, but
YouTubers
not
don't know any
everybody's getting
better.
paid. Yeah, then
Yeah.
not everybody's getting paid. So, you already know, you sit up there, you get mad or whatever. If you fall for it, then they either got your information or whatever
Yep.
the case may be, and they try to make it sound real good. Because, again, this is the information age. Information is very valuable in these scam companies, whatever's hands. They're gonna go and find out what you like, what you don't like, so they can best advertise to you, all of this and that.
Yep.
They want your info. So you gotta be careful with that. You gotta be careful with everything. But yeah, no, these people at the very least they don't really care. I mean, look at Mr. Beast, right? Like Mr. Beast was like the biggest, you know, giving out things or whatever on the internet, whatever. And then he got people working under him that is involved with some shady things. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
not all of these people you think, even the ones that present to you like, oh yeah, with purely pure. Like, my personal opinion, give me somebody who's real over somebody who just seems like a do-gooder, goody two-shoes. Everybody's got flaws. Even the most holy of people have flaws. I know, I've seen them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if somebody presents to you like, I have absolutely no flaws, cap, you gotta know it's cap.
Yeah.
Because I mean, nobody's like that. So yeah, just be careful with that and stuff like that. And like I said, just don't let people like I get it. If you like something from somebody, like how I showed, I showed them like, yo, I think we could be like kind of like, Abba and Preach, like, on YouTube, whatever. They seem like two real dudes, chill, just doing their thing, come on the internet talking about regular stuff, presenting balanced takes and whatever. I'm like, yeah, be like that. Like, anything like that. Or you like a streamer that, you like how they do their thing or whatever. You could take their style or a bit of their style and incorporate it into your own, but you got to do your own thing. I've never really
Yeah.
seen anybody maintain popularity, success, whatever, biting somebody else's whole style. Because at some point, like,
People
that's
are gonna
gonna
get
become
wise
lame,
to
and
it.
you gotta,
Yeah. And now
yeah, then
you
you
gotta
gotta find
reinvent
somebody else's
again.
style to jack.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Just do your thing. But
Gotta
all
think
right,
it
seeing
through.
as we're almost done, we'll close it out with this.
I'm not even done with
So
my
we talked
story yet.
about
This game sucks.
it. We talked about it a bit earlier. Um, and influences and inspirations. Did anybody inspire you when you was getting into creating content online and streaming or whatever? Does anybody influence you then, or does anybody influence you now?
This might sound left field because he doesn't do this at all. But my dad my dad inspired me to do it. Um,
Okay.
a lot of Christmases ago, I don't remember which year, because he's given me a lot of things over the years. Um, he gave me a Kodak camera, like this tiny little. I think it was like the maximum storage capacity was like 4 or 8 gigabytes, which was crazy back then. But now it's just like that can't even download, Supermarket Simulator. But he got me that, and I just had so much fun with it, making all these little videos with like my little brother. Like I was looking back at them, like I want to say maybe like a month ago, and I was talking to my little brother about it, and I could not help but think, like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what would eventually become the prototype to technically this podcast right now. But we were like 12, 13, 14, 15 years away from that happening. But if I didn't have that item that my dad got from me, who knows if this idea would have even come to fruition, you know? And then the last trigger that just made this all happen was you texting me that day of saying like, hey, I think we should do this. It'd be fun. We can talk about this. We can talk about that. Like things we're passionate about. And I was just like, yeah, like I don't see why not, you know? So for me, a lot of like my, I guess I could say like a lot of my entertainment spark came from my dad. I mean, he didn't feel like, what's the word? Like at the ready for it. Like it wasn't like, okay, go get him, son, you know, but it was just kind of like, it was like, okay, like, if that's what you want to do, then like, I'm gonna make something work so you're able to do it, you know, and that stuck with me. And what keeps me going is that I just like doing the things that I do, knowing that I'm the one that's in charge of it, because that's the bar I want to set for myself. And when it comes to making content and things that you like, and this is to all the people who want to like get into this, don't be discouraged by the amount of traction it gets. And that, like, again, if it's good traction, that's great. But if it scares you, work through that. Why does that make you scared? Like, ask those hard-hitting questions, because once you figure out those hard-hitting questions, when someone else is asking you that question, it's going to feel super easy and it's going to be a walk in the park. But make things that you want to make because it's on your heart to make it. I've had so many ideas that never see the light of day just because my heart was in it. And then I got to the final editing piece that I thought would have made it all come together. And then I'm like, that's not going to hit the way I thought it would. And it doesn't really speak to me anymore, right? I'll still hold on to it because like I made it. When I'm at an age when I can physically no longer do this, I do want to have those things to look back on. But if your heart's not in it, don't commit to it, because that's going to show itself as an end product, and it's going to be telling. And I think at the end of all of this, at least for me, is don't clamor for the attention of people who never wanted you in the first place. If you were trying to make content for people that could not give an iota about you when you was nobody, don't expect that when you are somebody, or whatever you think you being somebody is, because that's going to turn on you. That's just going to be a ticking time bomb and a powder keg under your foot. It just hasn't exploded yet. Make the things that you want to make because you want to make them. If you say, well, I want to make things because that's what the people want me to make, be mindful of what your audience is and what they want you to make. Okay? PewDiePie gave it to his community one time, and they done made near like Nazi signs about, you know, killing Jewish people and all these other crazy rhetorics. Be mindful of that community that you're making, and then who you're giving that power to, because that's something that you made. That's something that you fostered. So if you give that to somebody who doesn't care about it as much as you do, or they care about it so much that they take it in the opposite direction, that could backfire. Amen.
Hey, sounds good to me.
Wait, so now I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Are you gonna stream this year?
No.
Asking me all these questions.
This is about as good as it. Yeah, we gotta ask a professional.
I'm no professional.
That's why this is.
I'm professionally moderate.
You said you've been doing this for 9 years, cause that makes you a professional. So,
I didn't say I was good.
You don't gotta be good to be a pro.
Yeah, you do. You have to be professionally good at it.
You can be professionally bad. I'm not saying you bad. I'm saying you've been doing it for 9 years. You got the experience under your belt.
I'm trying to feed my family. You don't have a family. I'm a family of one.
You doing your thing. So nah, that's real. So I mean, you know, this is just kind of like, you know, getting to know Marcell, getting to know his mind, his way he comes to putting these things together. And also, you know, kicking back some to anybody out there who might be an aspiring streamer, aspiring content creator, aspiring.
Set boundaries, guys. Set boundaries. Know your limits. Know your expectations. Know the community that you want to foster, and keep an eye on it. Some people, man, the minute they get like big, or when they start to feel like, you know, I call it the feeling yourself effect. But once you get to those levels, you do have to taper your expectations, dial it back, reel it in, have a reevaluation, right? Like, man, who I was in 2015 is completely different in 2025. Okay,
Yeah.
I still have
You're
the
gonna
first.
you're gonna evolve. Everybody
Yeah, yeah.
always
Oh,
evolve.
you're absolutely going to evolve. But remember, a piece of that evolution comes from the things that you are walking through. And if you're walking through this community that you're making, and you're walking through this chat that you don't see on a day-to-day basis, but they can or cannot influence the things that you do. If you don't go left, you go right. If you don't go right, you don't go left. So it's like when you get to a particular checkpoint, look back and go, man, I've come far, but how did I get this far? Like, bullet point those. Know what it is that you did that got you to where you are. Because if you don't, you might say something, you might do something, you might act a certain way, and it's going to be in the face of everything that you just did that came up to that point. So yeah, that's how you
Sounds
can be a
good.
streamer
And
in
that's some,
2025. Oh, and $1,000 equipment and PlayStation and games. we didn't even talk
I
about the
mean,
business side of it.
I was gonna say that. I mean, yeah, you could go somewhere else for all of that. Oh, if
Yeah.
you got the stacks for all of that, then hey, that
Yeah, I
don't
mean, there's
hurt. But
there's a few
no,
things. I mean, I do help people when I can when it comes to like how to set up certain things, because everyone wants the bells and the whistles and stuff like that, but it is building your identity and then making that you know be shown on screen. Like for the podcast, we keep it simple, right? Because we're two simple individuals. No crazy bells, no
yeah,
whistles, no soundboards, no Don DeMarco. Like we're just saying what we're saying and then we're leaving. That's it. But on my stream, it's a
you
completely
really
different
been
vibe.
thinking. You've been really thinking fresh and fit, huh?
That's on their thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you, okay? I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of videos like that, the three dots on
Mm-hmm.
the thing, like don't recommend, not interested, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably on that list. Him, the Penguin Zero guy, the Asmon Gold. Like, dude, when I tell you, when you just hear someone talk the first time,
Oh, you
and
don't
they,
like you don't like Charlie?
it's not that I don't like them. It's just that like there's something about the energy that is fostered in such a way when explaining a topic that can be so topical that the people in the comments and the people doing the video, I feel like there's a disconnect sometimes, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
you guys are saying the right thing, but you're directing it at the wrong people, or the people in the comments are saying the right thing, but they're directing it at the wrong people. I don't know. It's just so weird to explain. It's like if I'm mad at you, right, of something that you did, and instead of me talking to you like an adult, I decide to post it on a Instagram story, right? It's super vague, it's super ambiguous, and you're sitting there like, this is oddly specific. Like, he has to be talking about me. But then if I come to him about it, that makes me the aggressor, and now he gets to defend, right? There's just this level of like just chess to it that I somehow sometimes feel when watching these videos, that I'm just kind of like, you know what? I don't care. Like, I know how I'm gonna move through the world. I want to choose to treat people with respect. I want to choose to be kind to people. If someone disrespects me, then I will make my peace known. But to go to the level that some of these YouTubers do it, or how they try to slam dunk these people and just castrate them digitally, socially, it's just like, dude, I don't care. I want to work my job. I want to do my hobbies. I want to see my niece, my nephew, my family, my siblings, and I don't want to do it all over again. Dude, I just tell you, when you've seen so much of it, I'm just like not interested. Don't recommend. And I want to
So what you're
curate.
saying
I want
is
to curate the world that I want to see.
so what you're saying is if we ever get into a YouTube beef, you're gonna settle it behind closed doors and I'm gonna be the one crashing out in public.
No, I'm gonna talk to you about it, or whoever I'm having the issue with, right? If something pops up,
No, I'm
right?
saying not me and you. I'm
Mhm.
saying us and somebody. I'm not gonna get in a beef with you.
Oh, I
You live
mean,
right down. You live right down the block. If I want to see you, I just go down there.
the missile knows where it's at all times. Well, that is an interesting question, and it might.
I'm joking. I'm
But
joking.
but no, it is
We
something to
not.
think about, because think about it, right? We're over here in our pocket of the world, just minding our business, right? We're talking about streams, we're talking about, what it's like to come up as one, who we're influenced by, what it's like when you follow people. Like we're saying nothing, but at the same time we're saying something, right? I'm not trying to say we're fence sitters, but even by being on the fence, you still are on both sides of the fence in a weird paradoxical way. But it's just like someone's going to see that, and if they have the means and the followers and the influence enough to make something of it, yes, in that case we would have to defend ourselves. But to do these crazy back and forths and make it like a spectacle or a blood sport and get ads off of it, and like, dude, don't care for it. That was one of my biggest things when I started doing stuff like this. When I uploaded my first video to the videos that I upload now, I will not make content talking bad about other people, because those are people too. You hear that whole thing with Shamik Moore?
Yeah, well, I heard something about it. I didn't dive into it because I don't want to get
The
a kind of opinion off him because I like Cuz, but I don't
Yeah,
want to,
listen, I
you
like
know.
him. I like him too. And I find it very unfortunate that he's caught in the situation where he is constantly reminded by the internet of his own flounders and blunders, and how he's going to work past that is going to be up to him at the end of the day, right? His agents can't help him. He's got to be the one to be able to help himself, right? But it's hard to do that when you have a culture of people online that don't care about your well-being, at least not enough people to care about his well-being, because they only want him to do good so he can make a product that we can enjoy. But at the end of the day,
Hmm.
that's just entertainment to them at the end of it all. And I find stuff like that so terrible, because that's what people see and go, that's how I'm gonna make it, right? I want to be controversial, right? I want to be talked about. I want to have that notoriety. And that's just a terrible mindset to operate in. If that's the business you want to build yourself off of, which I call blood money and blood sport, it's like that's only going to get you so far. If I, as a guy, says, okay, the only way I can get successful is by talking about other people and then kicking them while they're down, and then saying the Money Green situation is crazy, or the Money Green situation just got worse. It's like, how is Money Green supposed to move past his mistakes if he's constantly reminded by it, by millions of people with all these different opinions? Like, we are social creatures, but we're not conditioned to handle a million things happening at once. It's just impossible, right? If we could be that empathetic, we would cry every day by the times of how many people die every single day, of every single second, of every minute, you know? We're not conditioned to handle it like that. But unfortunately, the internet has got the human condition and a chokehold where we feel like, man, it's like the fear of other people's opinions. There's FOMO, but then there's also FOBO, and FOBO is just as strong, if not stronger, than FOMO, because you don't want to miss out from your peers. But these peers can also be the same people that do you in because you care about what they think, and it just becomes this crazy cycle. So you got guys who think that that's how they're going to make it, and then you got girls thinking that if they sell their body, everything's going to be fine. Go watch any interview with an actual adult star and tell me how good their life is with intimacy and commitment and relationship and socials and job applications. Like, all that stuff tracks, all that stuff follows you, you know. Men and women are getting pushed two totally different things, but at the end of the day, it's not good on both sides. And the only way that's going to get better is if you find the human connection in the middle. And like you said
Yeah,
earlier,
let's
be respectful about them
conversate.
and
Yeah,
where they come
gotta
on
have
their
more
side of the world,
conversation.
and then build that bridge to meet in the middle, and then go off of that. But all this quote unquote content about slam dunking on people, and they did this stupid thing, or they said something and crashed out, and they hate Star Wars or whatever show that came up. It's like, it's not that serious. It's not that serious. It's really not. Again, you might think it's serious, but there's going to be someone who thinks of it more seriously than you, and then the opposite direction, there's going to be someone who doesn't care. You know what the opposite of love is? Apathy.
Indifferent. Yeah.
Like, to not care about something and to care about something so much can be the do or die of the human condition. And you as a person need to know how much you can handle both of these beasts. Because if you don't, someone's going to find that out about you, and they're going to use that against you. So, I say all that to say, I didn't get nothing done in my supermarket store. I've got 20 boxes spewing out of the back of the truck right now, and I might have to hit this game much, much later because I need to finish Mega Man.
Well, you didn't get nothing done in your grocery store, in your supermarket, but
Well, I
got
got a
your
little
first
bit done. I got a little
podcast.
bit done. I'll be nice. I got a little bit done.
You got your first podcast of the second season done. So pat yourself on the back about that. You're back. You're back. You're back.
Ouch.
We're back. We're back up.
We're back in the building.
But that's
So
all we got time for today. So take us home.
what do we do now? Is that it?
I don't know. I didn't think we get this far. I thought you would have walked off a long time ago.
Dude, that's how I feel on stream when someone will say the most crazy paragraph about something I'm doing, and then I'm just sitting there like, that's nice. Can I go back to like playing the game now? Because like, respectfully, I don't care. Yeah, you gotta have fun with it, guys. You gotta have fun with it. You gotta have fun with it. If your intent is good, I'm telling you, people are gonna be able to translate that every single time. And the ones who don't are the ones who were never meant for you to begin with. All right. So.
Yeah, and it's good for you to have real. It's good for you to have. Cause see, if you're real, the fans, a lot of the fans that you get, a lot of the people, the followers, supporters that you get, respect that, and they'll be real with you too. Like you don't want people hanging on like, I only like you guys because you do this conflict thingamajiggy. I only like you guys because you do this funny thingamajiggy. I only see you one way. You know what I mean? You want
Yeah.
people to see you how you are, how you present yourself,
Absolutely.
and whatever.
Because as those
Not because
hip
you do
hop
one
songs
thing.
say, real recognizes real.
For sure.
Did I get it right?
Absolutely.
I don't know which one says it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There are probably so many people who think I'm not black.
That's what I was gonna ask you when that person you said came in your stream and said, "But you're black." And I was like, "Are you trying to capitulate you because you're not like you're not hood?" And I mean, just
I don't
because you're
know.
not hood doesn't mean
I don't know. I listen.
black.
I keep my pants at a respectable length, and
most people should now that sagging ain't the style no more.
No, I mean it's not the style, but I still see people do it. But listen, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other can
Yo, let me tell y'all young people something, bro. Listen, I'm 31, right?
Uh-oh.
I'm 31, so I'm not that old. Let me tell you something, bro. The stupidest thing you can do is walk around, and I tell you this because OGs tell me this, and I think this too. The stupidest thing you could do is walk through the street with your pants on your thighs and you have a belt on. That shit makes no sense whatsoever. If you don't have a belt and your pants is falling, alright, I feel you. But if you got a belt and you wear your pants on your thighs, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Like if you want to show people your junk, then just show people your junk. Go to jail because that's indecent exposure.
And there's bars for that too. I mean, I don't know any names specifically, but like legit, there's a business for every fetish. All right, like you just gotta take it upon yourself to do your due diligence and find it. Okay, if you think that's gonna make you happy, then pursue it all the way. But be mindful of the consequences that can come with. Okay, so
pull your pants out, bro.
Yeah, moral of the story: money's black, I'm black. We're certified hood classics, and anyone else who wants to be a part of this crew, you're more than welcome to do so. And yes, that is crew in the street sense. Yo,
speaking about certified hood classics, because I remember you said that because I don't like musical. I seen Wicked, and I liked Wicked. That's what I did with my.
Oh my gosh, you saw Wicked? Guys, I lied. I'm white.
Yeah, I like that. I thought it was a good movie.
I haven't gotten a chance to see Wicked. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't gotten a chance to see it. But from what I did see, I was like, yo.
That movie's long, but it's good.
Wow, guys. The Bible states, okay, new year, new you. And I think the Lord has answered my prayers. Wow, Money's watching a musical. So how about we go watch the Joker 2 again? Why do birds suddenly appear?
Why?
Oh my gosh! Wow, I was not expecting that. Okay, Money, I see you. You should have led with that. I would have loved to talk to you about musicals this stream. Oh heck yeah!
I'm saving my pain for when you somehow try to trick me into seeing Barbie.
Barbie 2?
Yeah.
Oh, you will see it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, you see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saving it for.
You're going to see it. And you will see it with enthusiasm. There are bricks, but then there's also 9mm. So I'm fastly closing in on your location.
Like I said, I live right up the block from you. I live
Listen,
right
that's
up the
okay.
block, so it's
I'll
not.
bring it to your front door. This ain't delivery. It's DiGiorno, okay?
All right. Man, take us home out of here, man.
Okay. Guys, at 2:02 p.m., the Bible said it was early in the afternoon. And I need all y'all to take a deep breath. That's it. That's a deep breath. And say it with us. Stay happy, stay healthy. Don't do anything we wouldn't do except maybe stream in 2025, because I think that's what Money wants to do. Because if he can do musicals, then he can technically stream. Like, the sky is truly the limit. Okay? Unless you live in an apartment, then the ceiling is your limit. But the point is, anything can happen if you put your mind to it. All right? I have been Marcell.
I live in an apartment. This is Money Green, not the streamer.
Take care. Good day, and God bless. Bye. Are you gonna stream this year?
No.